So Prism is a program for improving the sustainability of red meat. It is designed to help us get a really good understanding of carbon emissions from farm and try and fill what is a bit of a gap in national understanding about emissions from farm. As many people will be aware, farming is very different from many other industries, and that is both an emitter as well as a sink. And understanding that complexity of farming systems is super important. But it's also there to help farmers understand the numbers themselves and provide practical advice and direction to travel for people to think about what they can do to improve their business. It's not there to tell anyone how to farm, but just to give food for thought for things that could benefit farm profitability, resource use efficiency, and carry on producing an amazing product that we sell to customers week in and week out. Well, I think part of the power of Prism is taking that academic rigmarole in the background and translating that back to farms. So Harper Adams and Jude Capper have been instrumental in not only interpreting the information, but then translating it down to individual farm businesses who might want to think about things that might perhaps improve calving interval, for example, or getting more out of their swards, or looking at perhaps using and finessing how much nitrogen they use. Just small things that farmers can think about that might just take them a little bit step forward on their business, but also have an impact on environmental footprint as well. I think this is super important. Sustainability generally is so complicated and very often means different things to different people. But for us, it's about tackling one of the main challenges that we have with perception on emissions, particularly for beef, but also for sheep. And what we want to do is help show what is actually a very good position that UK agriculture is in when it comes to carbon emissions and productivity. One of the best countries in the world to produce grass and the principal component of ruminant diets. And I think the sustainability story is undersold, and I think that's something that we can make more of, but with really good, accurate data backed up with academic insight. And it allows us to help support consumer messaging around the fact that we're in a good place and getting better.
It's been really interesting looking at individual farms. So from the data at the moment, one of the most interesting things is where you'll find either two farms that superficially look exactly the same have completely different footprints, which is always a little bit of a head scratcher sometimes, but also the fact that management is absolutely key. So it doesn't matter, it truly doesn't matter whether you're intensive, extensive, where you're based, what breed of cattle you have, you know. We've seen some farms with really low carbon footprints that are intensive, some with really low footprints that are extensive. It is all about how you manage your system, how you manage your animals, and how you make the best use of the resources on your farm. And not just carbon data, but key performance indicator data. So we're one of the first groups in the UK to be able to draw some really solid conclusions on what the industry's doing, what could be done better based on a really large sample. Just to give an example, we found that on average 95% of cows across all these UK farms had a calf each year. You know, wouldn't it be great if we could make that 96 or even 97? Age at first calving, generally about 25 months. You know, what could happen if all of those cows came down to 24 months? And that's not possible in every single system, but if we know where the benchmarks are, we can then measure, we can then improve. And it's when we're trying to make decisions when we don't have the data that becomes difficult.
The key benefits are, it's really, you know, if you can improve your efficiency on farm, then it's actually generally improving your environmental criteria as well. So, and that goes hand in hand with generally improving your profits. So, you know, why wouldn't you want to get involved and actually make your farm more efficient, make your animals more efficient, when that goes hand in hand with hopefully more money in your back pocket?
What small changes I could make to aid and improve my profitability and my efficiency, which has the benefit of lowering my carbon emissions. So it was just looking for those small wins that I may not have thought about or may not have looked at, and just to see what I could do in small terms to make that little bit of a difference.
Prisms sounded like a good way of putting across what we produce being a good, clean, green product. Ourselves especially, we finish majority of our cattle off of grass, either as grass in the summer or with silage as the main part of the diet in the winter time, and I think we have a good product. I was quite intrigued myself. We're very intensive here. I wasn't sure if our footprint would be good or bad, but I've been pleasantly surprised that it's better than I was expecting due to our high output of kilos of beef.
The other benefit is just being able to see what other farms in the same situation as me are doing slightly differently, that also I may be able to look at and change. I would say that the key to improving your efficiencies is pick 2 or 3 KPIs, 2 or 3 key indicators that are easy for you to measure and that you yourself can easily measure. So for me, my 3 KPIs are days to calving, days to slaughter and weaning percentages. And I can measure them over a number of years and see if I'm improving. It also allows me, when I'm retaining heifers, to pick the heifers from the most efficient cows. So I'm constantly trying to improve what I'm doing.
It's about the farmer to farmer learning. Farmers love to learn from other farmers of what they're doing, so it's about bringing it all together to learn from each other.
I would suggest to other farmers it's definitely worth them getting involved in something like this to look at their carbon footprint to increase potential production of their farm.
When you see, farmers, the questions that come out, and there's never a such thing as a silly question. Every day's a learning day, and everyone can learn from others. So the learning from farmers, and even farmers that you think, well, they're at the top of the game or they know everything already, they still learn things when they come onto these meetings. So you can never know everything, and there's always things to learn. And always, every day is a learning day, so you can always make things better, even if you're doing really well and your carbon footprint's below average and you're top in the market or your price is great. You can still make changes, you can still improve what you're doing. So I know everyone doesn't like figures, but I really think that if everyone could look at what they're doing, create an action plan and actually write it down, because if you write it down, you're 80% more likely to actually implement it. And the other important thing is sharing that action plan with the rest of the people on the farm. So whether that's other staff, the vet, the nutritionist, if everyone's working together towards that goal, that's going to really help it be implemented and help it drive it forward. If everyone doesn't know about it, it won't happen.
It's always the people. The best thing about projects is always the people. I think the enthusiasm and commitment, both within our farmer supply base and within the business for the future of British agriculture, just is a really kind of stimulating and dynamic one. I think you learn something new every single farm that you visit, whether that be England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. And I think there's just huge opportunity for us to collaborate and learn from each other and hopefully work together to a more sustainable future. And I think if you can't be invested and excited about that, then I don't know what we can be excited about.